Often. Ortega cancels his Nicaraguan ceasefire. Charges that the Pan Am disaster over Scotland could have been avoided, and the U.S. Navy has another accident. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega said today he is breaking off a 19-month-old truce and resuming the war against U.S.-backed Contra rebels. Ortega said Contra attacks were endangering the election set for next February. In Washington, a spokesman for President Bush said the Sandinistas are just afraid of the ballot box and looking for an excuse to cancel the vote. The White House did not call for new military aid to the Contras, saying the U.S. is committed to the democratic process and wants the elections to go ahead. From Managua, Juan Vasquez begins our coverage.
As if to underline his government's new hard line, President Ortega donned the black and red Sandinista bandana today to announce the end of the ceasefire. We are tired of turning the other cheek, Ortega declared. We have the obligation to defend our citizens. Just yesterday, Ortega and other comandantes visited the site of an alleged Contra attack in which 4 villagers lost their lives. The Sandinistas claim more than 700 Nicaraguans have been killed since the ceasefire began 18 months ago.
We have an internal public opinion to worry about too. They are demanding, the people of those communities that were attacked, hard measures.
Most of the Contra soldiers remain in neighboring Honduras, fed and clothed with U.S. money. These days, the camps are visited by members of an international commission overseeing their demobilization. But over the last several months, small groups of rebels have packed up and crossed the border into Nicaragua. Contra military commander Enrique Bermudez admits there are thousands inside Nicaragua, but he claims they are under orders to avoid combat.
We are going to observe the ceasefire. We are not going to initiate any military offensive action.
President Ortega's shift to a harder line comes in the middle of a heated political campaign that Sandinista opponents claim they're winning. With the election only 4 months away, they say the Sandinistas are afraid of losing. Yolanda Chamorro is the opposition's presidential candidate. Her latest campaign rally in a small town this weekend drew an enthusiastic throng. In the first reported act of violence in the campaign, the crowd was attacked by alleged Sandinista supporters. Ortega pledged today to hold the elections as scheduled, but warned that if the Bush administration does not push the Contras to disband, the electoral process may be placed in jeopardy. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Managua.
The more we let Ortega hang himself, the better. The words of a White House aide who said the president has decided for now not to seek renewed military aid for the Contras. Still, spokesman Marlon Fitzwater denounced Ortega's action as deplorable.
And it appears that Ortega is trying to create a situation where he may not have the elections.
The president is said to feel that renewed military aid would give Ortega grounds to blame the U.S. if he suspends the election. Yet there's pressure from conservatives.
President Bush declared that if the Sandinistas violated this ceasefire, he would reconsider, quote, in a minute, unquote, military assistance to the Nicaraguan resistance. Mr. President, that minute has arrived for the President and the Congress.
But the general mood in Congress is against military aid.
I don't know of anyone that wants to see us go back to the days of the Contra War.
The concern here is that if Mr. Bush doesn't act boldly toward Ortega, he could be criticized again for being too cautious. But Mr. Bush is determined to avoid any saber-rattling. He's contacting foreign leaders hoping to build diplomatic pressure on Ortega, possibly through the United Nations. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
The question has been around since the beginning. Did the U.S. government know in advance of a plot to bomb Pan Am Flight 103? The State Department insists no. But the airline has now filed court papers demanding testimony from the CIA, the FBI, the State Department, and other agencies about tips they may have received before the December bombing that killed 270 people. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver has more from Washington.
Pan Am Airlines, facing charges of lax security in last year's bombing of its Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, has filed legal papers suggesting that the U.S. government may have had information that could have prevented the crash. Pan Am today announced that it subpoenaed 6 federal agencies, including the CIA, the FBI, and the State Department, demanding any information involving warnings from Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, within the 24 to 36 hours before the fatal flight, and warnings from the BKA, the West German police, within 90 minutes of takeoff. While U.S. officials have acknowledged hearing generalized warnings about a possible attack on a U.S. carrier, today they insisted
we never received any specific and credible threat against Pan Am 103 on December 21st or on any other date.
The mother of crash victim Andrea Rosenthal says Pan Am is trying to deflect the blame for its own negligence.
Yeah, they're trying to get out of it. They're trying to get out of paying what they're supposed to pay, millions and millions of dollars to the families.
I suspect it's born in the public relations department. I think they would like to divert attention from the security situation.
The subpoenas also demand all other information the U.S. has gathered since the crash.
Will be given due consideration, and any response we have will be made in court.
Government sources say the administration is likely to try to have the subpoenas quashed because responding to them would jeopardize relationships with foreign intelligence services. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
A dramatic demonstration today of just what may have happened before last summer's fatal crash landing of a United Airlines jetliner in Iowa. And there was also disagreement about who should have found the flaw authorities believe led to that disaster. Mark Phillips has a report.
A General Electric engineer told the public hearing into the Sioux City crash today that the engine explosion, which led to the deaths of 112 people, took about 5/1000th of a second, less than the blink of an eye.
Things were over with very rapidly.
By examining what was left of the DC-10's tail engine and the fan disc which blew out of it and which was discovered just a few weeks ago, General Electric created this animation of how it thinks the disc came apart. A crack separated the disc into two pieces. They spun off in opposite directions, breaking through the engine housing, cutting crucial hydraulic lines as they went. Metallurgists from the NTSB have found a minute imperfection in the titanium alloy, a spot more brittle than the rest, which led to cracking and the ultimate destruction of the disc. The question now hanging over this inquiry is whether the crack should have or could have been discovered beforehand. Already the finger pointing has begun. GE says that through ultrasonic inspection, immersing the disc in water and bouncing sound waves off it, the flaw could have been discovered.
And we feel very comfortable that that crack could have been found with ultrasonic.
But United Airlines says that inspection was the manufacturer's, not the airline's, responsibility.
It could have been discovered with ultrasonic testing. The problem is that ultrasonic testing was not required at that time.
While the inquiry and the arguments go on, Captain Al Haynes, whose skill as the pilot of United 232 saved the lives of the 184 survivors of the crash, went back to work this week. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Sioux City.
A time for tribute at the White House today turned out to be yet another time for a child to steal the show. On hand was little Jessica McClure, the subject of national attention 2 years ago when people in her hometown of Midland, Texas, pitched in to rescue little Jessica from an abandoned well. President Bush was her straight man as Midland presented its first annual award for community spirit to the people of Sioux City, Iowa for their response to last summer's United Airlines crash. Now, later in the broadcast, another in our series on people who show the rest of us how to be the best of us.
Take my word for it, this is utopia. Am I talking about scenery, harp music, the betterment of man? No, I'm talking burgers. I had the most perfect hamburger in my life here. It was so juicy and delicious, thought I was in heaven, so to speak. Utopia does exist. I've eaten there. And if you ever reach Utopia, take my advice. Order the hamburger. Beef. Real food in Utopia, Texas.
Those human rights to which this nation has always been committed.
Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
Peace now, peace now, peace.
We're not going to try to control what our people read and say and think.
You commit yourself to the principles of God. Free at last, free at last.
The freedom to say and think what we believe, to express our individuality, and diversity. That's our birthright, and it's ensured by this document. Join us and the National Archives in celebrating the 200th anniversary of the Bill of Rights.
Simultaneous announcements from Moscow and Washington today. The site of the Bush-Gorbachev December summit at sea will be off the coast of Africa, off the coast of Malta. Malta is a small, independent island in the Mediterranean. It's about 60 miles south of Sicily, about 200 miles north of Libya. A new exodus from East Germany began today as the communist regime lifted a month-old restriction on travel to Czechoslovakia. Hundreds of East Germans converged on the West German embassy in Prague, where they were promised passage to the West. Meanwhile, East Germany's new Communist Party leader was in Moscow, getting advice from Gorbachev. Barry Peterson reports on that.
Egon Krenz came for a lesson in the new ways of communism from his Soviet big brother, Mikhail Gorbachev. They are strikingly alike, both the youngest men on the Politburos that made them General Secretary, both facing problems from years of stagnant leadership. Krenz apparently took good notes. He emerged all for reform. As for demonstrators on East German streets, a good sign, said Krenz. They are showing they want a better form of communism. And East Germans fleeing the country, said Krenz, give me time and I'll fix that too.
Sozialismus in unserem Lande noch attraktiver zu machen.
If we make socialism more attractive, he said, I'm sure people will stay in our country, that they will trust us. But, he said, the Berlin Wall stays, even if other reforms are implemented.
He will have to adopt some of the reforms that Mr. Gorbachev has experimented with in the Soviet Union itself.
Adopt them unwillingly, you think?
No, I wouldn't use the word unwillingly, but I would say grudgingly.
Back home, the test comes next week when he convenes his party's leadership to either tinker with the system many of his people don't want or begin the major overhaul that Gorbachev and others say is long overdue. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Moscow.
3 gunmen shot and killed a Saudi Arabian diplomat in Beirut today. The pro-Iranian group Islamic Jihad, which also holds at least 2 American hostages, claimed responsibility. The statement came along with a photograph of journalist Terry Anderson of the Associated Press. He is the longest held of the American hostages. Another pro-Iranian group sent out a picture of American hostage Edward Tracy, along with a threat to kill Americans if the U.S. were to arrest suspected terrorists in foreign countries.
That's what we're baking for breakfast. It's made with whole oats, plus raisins, nuts, and spices. It's a cereal. New Oat Bake, a nutritious new oat cereal from Kellogg's. It's the only whole oat cereal that's baked, for a rich taste you won't find in any other oat cereal. New Kellogg's Oat Bake, the whole oat cereal with the crunchy baked taste.
Cash charge.
We interrupt this purchase for a reminder.
I've got to have it.
There's still one more place to comparison shop.
I don't know where to start.
Here, by choosing the card that actually pays you cash. Cash back for every charge. The Discover card.
That's the one.
It's perfect.
It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
How do orange juice, tomato juice, and grapefruit juice measure up to prune juice? You get more of 7 important vitamins and minerals in a glass of great-tasting Sunsweet prune juice. Sunsweet. Here's to your health.
When Mom gets a cough and cold, everyone suffers.
Mom, Dad's ironing.
Time to doctor that cough with Robitussin.
Look, Mom's feeling better.
Robitussin, recommended by more doctors, pharmacists, and Dr. Mom.
Still another U.S. Navy accident at sea. More U.S. sailors injured, this time in a boiler room fire today on the USS Monongahela, 500 miles west of Gibraltar. CBS News Defense Department correspondent David Martin reports it's the latest bad day in the Navy's bad week, and there may be more to it than just bad luck.
In Pensacola today, they were still picking up the pieces of the jet which crashed on the carrier Lexington. In the Atlantic, the oiler Monongahela was under tow after a boiler room fire which injured 8 sailors.
Since Sunday, 5 accidents aboard Navy ships have claimed 6 lives and caused several $1 million damage.
Well, I do not see any trend. If I look at them, we've discussed them generally, but they're all unique accidents and in different environments.
The Navy may chalk it up to the hazards of duty at sea or just plain bad luck, but consider this.
We're asking our Navy to do far too much with far too few ships. We've stretched our personnel capabilities, I think, to the limit and perhaps to the breaking point.
Aircraft carriers crammed with explosives and jet fuel operate round the clock, manned by sailors whose average age is just 20 years old. Some of them are just not up to the job.
We're losing better than 1 out of every 3 of our recruits who do not complete, or sailors who do not complete their first tour of obligated service.
The Navy insists that it is satisfied with the quality of the sailors who stay aboard, but the fact remains.
Today's environment is more hazardous, more dangerous, and we're asking more of our people with better training than any time in the Navy.
So far this year, at least 65 people have died in accidents aboard Navy ships, 47 of them in one blinding instant aboard the battleship Iowa.
So you have this year of extraordinary series of unrelated accidents with no common thread whatsoever against the previous year of the best record in the history of the United States Navy.
Unrelated or not, the accidents create the perception that the Navy is a dangerous place. And the Navy's own surveys show that discourages young men and women from joining. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
President Bush officially nominated Dr. Antonio Novello today to be the new U.S. Surgeon General. Dr. Novello is a pediatrician and expert on AIDS in children. Dr. Novello also supports President Bush's anti-abortion stand. Mr. Bush's spokesman confirmed again today that this is, in President Bush's view, a requirement for the job. The House today approved a bill to slowly raise the national minimum wage from $3.35 an hour to $4.25 an hour by April 1991. Final approval is expected by the Senate. President Bush vetoed a larger minimum wage increase earlier this year. Mr. Bush will sign this version. There hasn't been a hike in the minimum wage since 1981. A government report today indicated weakness in the nation's manufacturing sector. The Commerce Department said factory orders stayed flat in September and would have fallen if it hadn't been for the second biggest jump in defense orders in history.
It's 11:35, and Roseanne Horn is learning all about her antifreeze. The hard way. Don't push your luck. Guarantee it with advanced formula Prestone.
Come on, answer.
Piloting a corporate jet for Dow can be interesting and rewarding, particularly when it's an Angel flight. The Corporate Angel Network uses empty seats on company business trips to fly cancer patients who need specialized treatment. Patients like Christy. Dow was the first to make over 100 of these flights. Welcome aboard, Angel. This company does great things. This is one of them.
This year, one airline will pass all the others. We'll have 70,000 more departures than Delta. We'll have 120,000 more departures than American. We'll have 400,000 more departures than United. In fact, this year, U.S. Air will have more departures than any other airline in the free world. So if we sound like an airline that's really taking off, you don't know how right you are. U.S. Air, America's most frequent flyer.
When that ref called my son offside, it was a Malox moment. I took extra strength Malox Plus. I need the strongest with my husband, the ref.
Extra strength Malox Plus. Strong relief for all your Malox moments.
It is every parent's nightmare in one small town in Minnesota and all across that state. They are singing a song of heartbreak. It stems from a disappearance last month, a vanishing that's created anger and fear. And as correspondent Frank Courier reports, all that leaves is hope.
Despite 10 days of strain and sleepless worry, Jerry and Patricia Wetterling sing their hearts out. What's come to be known as Jacob's Song in church and on the radio all across Minnesota.
Listen, Jacob, can you hear our prayers? We love you.
On the night of October 22nd in rural St. Joseph, Minnesota, 11-year-old Jacob Wetterling was kidnapped. The 6th grader was riding bikes with his younger brother and a friend on a country road a half-mile from home when a masked gunman confronted them.
A guy walked out of a driveway, said he had a gun, and told me to turn off my flashlight.
He grabbed Jacob and then he told me to run as fast as I could into the woods or else he'd shoot.
Jacob's kidnapping has shaken the faith and foundation of this little prairie town.
There are a lot of kids that are going home and they've got instructions to lock their doors and keep the drapes shut, don't answer the phone. There is a lot of fear out there.
In an extraordinary sweep for clues, more than 100 National Guardsmen scoured the countryside. They were joined by Army search helicopters, police bloodhounds, and a sheriff's posse on horseback checking fields and streams.
This has been the largest manhunt in the history of Minnesota, and it is not going to stop.
The Wetterlings have received no threats, no ransom demands, only cards and letters, hundreds offering hope and prayers for Jacob.
I hear him saying, "Where are you? Where are you?" But I think he knows we're doing everything.
Though half the more than 500 children kidnapped by strangers in the U.S. since 1984 are still missing, experts say there's a better than even chance Jacob is still alive.
Most of the time, if it's a sexual motivation, the child isn't killed. So therein lies the hope.
For the parents drawing strength from their neighbors, the song remains a symbol of hope that this outpouring of love will somehow ensure their little boy's safe release and homecoming. Frank Courier, CBS News, St. Joseph, Minnesota.
Let's go with this fabric. To my customers, every little detail means a lot, so I can't stop when my minor arthritis pain acts up. So instead of aspirin, I take Advil. My doctor told me to try Advil when my hands feel stiff from the pain. You know, one Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin, and that's the kind of strength I like. Yet Advil's gentler to my stomach than aspirin. For hours of relief, Advil is just my style. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
It's happening now. The Crab Lovers Festival at Red Lobster. King crab from icy Arctic waters, steaming, succulent. Delicate snow crab to dip, drip, and savor. And now get your taste of our sweet, meaty Pacific Dungeness. We've created 8 crab and seafood combinations starting at just $6.95. They're here now and only at Red Lobster. Friday through Sunday, try our crab and shrimp special, just $10.95.
I've never been that much of a cereal eater, or even breakfast for that matter. But then I read 2 or 3 different articles about oat bran, and I thought to myself, why would you not eat this stuff?
Medical reports have shown oat bran can be important to your good health. Kellogg's Common Sense Oat Bran has more oat bran than any leading ready-to-eat cereal.
You know, I get up 15 minutes early just so I can do this.
New Common Sense Oat Bran, a sensible thing to do.
Tonight is the 3rd in our series on 5 remarkable Americans we call the best of us. Remarkable in their determination to help others help themselves. These are 20th century inheritors of the classic American good neighbor who helped tame the western frontier, inheritors of a tradition which says that problems are meant to be solved. These people are determined to break the cycles of poverty and ignorance which plague our country. They represent the best of us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Joe Kelman lives on Chicago's Gold Coast. Melvin Cleveland lives in its inner city. Joe is 69 years old and wealthy. Melvin is 8 and poor. Joe owns a business, the Globe Glass and Mirror Company. Melvin is an unhappy product of Chicago's public schools. Their lives, so different, come together at the corporate community school, a tuition-free experiment in educational reform created to prove that ghetto kids, despite the crime and drugs and broken homes, can learn as well as anyone.
This is Yellowstone National Park.
Melvin attends Kathy Irwin's class.
That's a nice one, Melvin.
And Joe founded the school. It's his brainchild. For over a decade, he's been part of a national chorus accusing the public schools of failing inner-city children.
The school system in this country stinks.
You give public schools, particularly those in the inner city, an F on every score?
Oh, yes. Every major city in this great country, I rate with that F, and you're being kind, Dan. I describe them as an American tragedy.
Joe looked to corporate America to rescue the schools. He found his soul brother in Vernon Laux, chairman of Baxter International, a multi-billion-dollar company located outside Chicago. Laux rallied a few other corporate heads, and together they raised $2 million, enough to open the corporate community school. It was not charity.
This is the workforce of the future.
I just wanted you to copy the words. How many times each?
5.
Lower than 5.
That's 5.
Lower than 5. That's higher than 5. Lower than 5.
4.
Keep going. Even lower. Okay.
We employ these people, and you know, we have to retrain people because they don't have the fundamental skills, the verbal skills, the communication skills, or the mathematical skills to do entry-level jobs.
I want you to do a little math first, and then we'll schedule the meeting after that. If I say red light, that means you stop.
The school, now in its second year, is located in Lawndale, a bleak Chicago neighborhood where kids are used to failing. Nearly 50% of the children in Chicago's public schools drop out before they finish high school.
Chicken and a crowd of crows.
What's wrong here, Joe? Mismanagement. We could run this school system successfully and turn out a quality product. It would be called a student.
If you see mountain, I want to see mountain here, and it's 3 times each. I count 1, 2 there. I want to see the 3rd time.
Joe Kelman grew up just a few blocks from here. He went to the Lawndale schools, dropped out in the 9th grade. Today, he has big plans. This is just one of what he hopes will be hundreds of model schools spread across America, all based on the simple premise that you run a school system the way you'd run a corporation.
To see if we can't find some places, folks, where we can cut the expenses.
This is the coalition that directs the corporate community school. Business executives, community activists, professional educators, a parent, and Joe Kelman. They conducted a nationwide search before hiring Dr. Elaine Mosley as principal.
Are you happy to be in school here?
They hire teachers, pay them more than the public schools, encourage their creativity, and fire them if they don't get results.
A baby cow was called a calf.
Kathy Irwin says the school has given parents reason to hope.
It's hope not only for their children, but once they feel that for their children, it translates into their own lives. And so we have mothers saying, I don't want to be on ADC any longer. I will get a job.
How are you? How are you?
But it's the kids who hold center stage in the school that Joe Kelman built. 200 kids, ages 2 to 9, selected at random from the community.
There are living people. They're black and Hispanic, right? And they're happy and they're learning. It can be done 1,000-fold. We need teams like we have here. I think corporate leaders are a good beginning. Yes, their money is wonderful. Their brain power is more necessary. There's something that's more important than just making money. I'm doing that, but it leaves me starved. I don't see the mystery of it. I guess the mystery is why the hell aren't there more people doing what I'm trying to do?
Chicago's amazing Joe Kelman. And that's part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you tomorrow. Good night.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow, fashion designer Caroline Rome, how she keeps her identity while married to a tycoon.
Also, actor James Woods on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.
Coming up on News Channel 5's 6 o'clock report, Tennessee may be a step closer to building a dump for other states' nuclear waste. County jails get ready to say no to more state prisoners. Hurricane Hugo is long gone.